This week on Maker Update, Blade Runner binoculars, setbacks at Glowforge, custom zipper pulls, joy pads, a cardboard knife, colorized laser engraving, and CNC grid beams. It's Wednesday, I'm Donald Bell, and welcome to another Maker Update. I hope you're all having a good week, and for those of you affected by the fires in Northern California last week, I hope things are looking up. I've got a fun show for you here, so let's get into it, starting with the project of the week. For Blade Runner fans, Instructable's Jonathan Odom has an outstanding guide on creating Deckard's binoculars, which make a brief appearance in the new film. The project uses a mix of 3D printed parts that you'll need to paint and weather to get the right look, and an off-the-shelf $13 monocular. John includes all the files you'll need to print the parts and shows an overview of how the design was conceived. There's even this beautiful exploded diagram of how all the parts fit together. It's insane. Aside from the monocular, some foam, a handful of machine screws and washers, and some bendable metal rod to form the hoop for the strap, everything else is 3D printed. The skill I suspect you'll get from this project is creating realistic weathering effects with paint on 3D prints. John shows off a number of techniques with salt and sandpaper and Vaseline to create a worn-in look. And what's really cool is that the finished project can actually be used as a functional monocular. You can maybe do some futuristic bird watching with it. Time for a bit of news. GeekWire reports that some orders of Glowforge laser cutters are once again delayed. One customer in the article states that their original October 2015 order has been updated to a February 2018 ship date, though the air cooler for the unit may not even arrive until May of 2018. In a statement to GeekWire, Glowforge CEO Dan Shapiro acknowledges the delays and is offering $200 in free materials and designs for customers who stick it out. In a separate post, Dan had to deliver the news that orders from 20 different countries would have to be refunded due to legal or logistical reasons. It's an unfortunate setback, but a good reality check for those of us investing in first-generation crowdfunded hardware. A few more projects to share with you. There's this great guide from Paige Russell on creating 3D printed zipper pulls. Paige breaks down the design process using the free and easy Tinkercad software. She shows how to measure the zipper you're designing for, creating a negative from it, and then building that cavity into an existing shape that you can use for your pull. It's an approachable guide with great writing and photos, and probably a great beginner project for students to sink their teeth into. Over on Adafruit, the Ruiz brothers have a guide on making this adorable universal USB gamepad they call Joy. The project makes use of a bunch of small, ingeniously snapped together 3D printed parts. Inside is a Feather M0 Express board, 4 buttons, and an analog joystick. Most notably, there's this 1.4-inch color screen that displays an animated eyes and mouth that responds to the joystick. Because the 3D printed enclosure masks out the rest of the screen, it's almost as if the eyes and mouth are these separate, discrete things. It's a cool illusion, and the whole project really is this great dive on how far these projects are approaching mainstream product design. It's time for another Cool Tools review. This time, we're going to take a look at a knife designed specifically for cutting through corrugated cardboard. This thing is $8, it's made in Japan, and if you want one for yourself, using the Amazon link in the description helps to support my videos and the Cool Tools blog. Cardboard is an abundant resource for making crafts and mocking up design ideas. It's especially great for kids. Unfortunately, one of the most common tools for working with cardboard is a box cutter knife, which is a dangerous tool for anyone of any age, but it's also really not a great tool for shaping cardboard. It cuts the stuff, but there's not really much nuance with it. The Canary cardboard cutter is a much more satisfying way to cut and shape cardboard. It has a finely serrated edge on both sides and a blunt tip. The edge could cut you if you saw it into yourself, but it's unlikely to cut you just from casual handling. But when this thing comes into contact with corrugated cardboard, you can work through it like butter. Even without a pointy tip, you can easily work your way into any spot just by starting with the side of the blade and then pushing in. It works against the corrugation or with it, and unlike scissors, it doesn't pinch the material at all, so you can make these long swooping cuts with ease. But what this does better than any other tool I've used is kerfing, which is to make a flexible joint on a material with a series of incomplete cuts. Using light pressure, you can get a consistent kerf cut for making hinges or tubes in cardboard designs. As a bonus, I've had equally great results using this knife on foam core, without any of the bunching you'll sometimes get with a box cutter or an X-Acto blade. Best of all, it's just $8. If nothing else, it's a great, relatively safe tool for breaking down cardboard boxes for recycling. You can pick one up using the link in the description, and remember, you can see thousands of reader-recommended tools like this at cool-tools.org. A few other tips to share with you this week. First, on Gareth Branwyn's Tips of the Week column on Make, there's this great technique from Laserwood, Minnesota, on how to use a mix of trans tint epoxy dye and denatured alcohol to fill in a laser engraving with color. So long as the wood has some kind of protective finish on it before it's engraved, the dye mix will seek out just the engraving and the rest can be easily wiped away. I got an email from Vlad Lunachev about an IndieGoGo he's launched to create a CNC mill specifically designed for milling hole patterns into inexpensive wood beams so they can be used with grid beam projects. The grid beam construction method has been around since the 1940s as a kind of erector set for wood. In addition to the CNC system, which is pretty ingenious, he also wants to create a web service to catalog and share projects. I think it's a neat idea. And the Ruiz brothers have also created some cool 3D printed snap-together cases that fit the Circuit Playground board. It's an awesome board, and the case just adds an extra touch. Maker fairs! So many maker fairs this weekend, but let's go through them. There's Louisville, Kentucky, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, Orlando, Florida, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Colorado Springs, Fredonia, New York, Houston, Texas, Münster, Germany, Wenatchee, Washington, Seoul, Korea, Atlanta, Georgia, and Oakland, California, where I'll be giving a presentation on my favorite projects from the past year of Maker Update. Also, next weekend on the 28th, everyone in the UK should go to the Derby Mini Maker Faire. It's in Derby in Derbyshire. It has the seal of approval from maker and vintage tool aficionado Dominic Morrow. That's all the endorsement I need. All right, and that's it for this week's show. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, sign the email list, buy the product, go to a maker fair, and be good to each other. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.